Alright, thank you very much. Hello everybody, it's your good friend Pozzible here, and I'm back in action with another look at an older movie this time around. We go back to the Forgotten Classics. This was something I was hoping to do every week, but I could never get back around to it. This is looking back at some of the more forgotten movies over the years. Movies that came and went, and it's so funny, they may have flopped at the time, they may not be the best movies, but they really have a lot of something to them that makes them worthy of being remembered. And today we're going to remember Maniac Cop. This was back in 1988, so you have to remember things were very different back then. This was before the Twin Towers, this was before the X-Files. This was actually a time of pride in America, and a very different era than what we live in now. This was before technology too, so there's no cell phones. If somebody was out and you couldn't find them, you had to wait for them to come back because there's nothing else you could do. You could call around and ask somebody if they could ever figure out where they were, but other than that, you really didn't have much going for you. This was also an era before Bruce Campbell really came to popularity along with Sam Raimi. This is their early movies, so if you ever want to look back at what movies were like, the way they did movies back in the day, before Burn Notice, before Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, this is a good movie to check out, and that movie is Maniac Cop. It's not perfect by any stretch of this imagination. You basically have a cop who goes around killing people. Nobody can figure out who he is or why he's doing it, and for some reason, the guy seems indestructible. And that's one of those reasons that's never really covered. The mystery of who he is pretty much what people are really starting to explore. The interesting part, though, is that this guy is not, he may be crazy, but he's not stupid. He actually is able to frame another cop for the crimes that he is committing. And you get a look at what the people would go through if all of a sudden you couldn't trust your local police force. People would have to find ways to defend themselves. And this is New York. This was, New York, the crime capital of the world back in the 1980s. Nowadays, it's different nowadays, but maybe not that different. I don't know, I don't live in New York. But, a rough place to live back in those days. Of course, you saw the Twin Towers again. Whenever you get that New York skyline, they show up. They're right there, especially for a movie made in 1988. Maniac Cop did spawn two other sequels, not as worthy as the first one, though. The first one had a sort of a grit, sort of a mystery, and definitely more. The Maniac Cop is, well, I'll let you see that part. Don't want to give away too much information. This is the 1980s killing spree. Maniac Cop never got to be like Freddy Krueger, Friday the 13th, or Halloween. It was a wannabe back in those days. If you haven't seen it yet and you're a fan of those kind of slasher movies, I recommend Maniac Cops just to give it a try. It's a see it because for those people who like this kind of genre, for those people who feel like they may have missed a movie or two from that era. So that's Maniac Cop for you. Well, guys, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you at the theaters.